recording. Hello, my name is Betty, and I can see why I still cannot see other people. Attendees, yes. I saw RoHS, I saw them. Yeah, okay, I'll stop. Electrical and electronics products. And thirdly, I will talk about the frequently answered question for China RoHS-2 and some key takeaways of this document. And then last, there will be some summary for the standards in China RoHS-2 and also the future development or observation. First is the introduction about what is SESEC. Why me? Why I'm sitting here or standing here to talk about China RoHS. SESEC project is the project co-founded by European Commission, the EFTA Secretariat, and the three European standardization organizations, SAN, SANELEC, and ESE. It builds on the two previous phases from 2006 to 2009 and 2009 to 2012. And for me, now I'm the third phase of SESEC project. And this project is managed by the SAN and supported by the steering committee involved all these 5 partners. So you can see the logo. We have SAN, SANELEC, ESE, European Commission, basically European Commission DG GROW, and EFTA. And what is our projects all about, or what we are doing in China? The SESEC project is to supporting European policies and also the ESO's strategic objectives in China. So basically, our ultimate goal is to enhance of EU-China cooperation on standardization and European stakeholders' understanding of China technical regulations, standards, and market requirements, market access requirements, and some other information. We also promote European standardization model or standardization systems to the China standardization and technical regulation community. So we based in China, and we support the framework cooperation agreement between the standardization organizations in Europe and also in China. And we also support EU-China dialogues on the cooperation of standardization and conformity assessment and some other policy related issues. And our goal, you can see I list all these 5 goals here. We concretely expect to do the promotion of European and international standards in China. In China, I have to see EN standards is currently not so famous. It's sort of invisible. And we promote international standards, IEC and ISO, and meanwhile, we sometimes also talk about EN standards in China. We also improve the contacts between the project partners or the European stakeholders and Chinese stakeholders. Basically, we try to help the European stakeholders to find the counterparts organizations in China to understand their policies, their strategies, and their technical regulations and the standards behind such activities. We also improve the visibilities and understanding of European standardization system in China and gathering regulatory and standardization intelligence. And with some platform, for example, China-EU standardization dialogue, the MOU between SANELEC and SAC, and also MOU with ESE and SAC, we also do some technical lobbying work. But today, I'm reporting back the China RoHS technical regulation, which is which fall down to the fourth target of my project, which is gathering regulatory and standardization intelligence for the European stakeholders. And the priority areas, we have covered all the 5 partner strategies and their priorities. So after the discussion, now I list all the priorities here. So like Internet of Things, machine-to-machine, communication networks, and services. So today, China RoHS 2 fall down to electrical and electronics products, and also the last one, energy management and environmental protection. So basically, China RoHS is for the electrical products, and also it is based on the environmental protection purpose in China. So that's the introduction of SESEC project, and I also hope you have already used such a period of time, tested your audio system, because from now on we will focus more on the technical information and solid information on China RoHS. So secondly, I will make some brief introduction of China RoHS, because I see the name is very long, measure for the administration of the restricted use of hazardous substances contained in electrical and electronic products. But basically, I just call that China RoHS 2. So when I say China RoHS 2, it is mainly measure the document we were talking about. And then first is China RoHS 2. The name is Management Methods for Restricted Use of Hazard Substances in Electrical and Electronic Products. So later I will just call that China RoHS 2. So China RoHS 2 was published on January 6, 2016, and was formally enforced on July 1st, 2016. It replaced the China RoHS 1, and China RoHS 1 was published in February 28, 2006. So it basically means after 10 years of the implementation of China RoHS 1, now the China authorities sort of enlarge the scope of the products covered by the RoHS, and then here comes China RoHS 2. So the third bulletin points says that China RoHS 2 has a similar labeling and disclosure requirements as China RoHS 1, but now applies to a much larger scope of products, because at the very beginning, the China RoHS 1 only covers 10 categories of products with electrical information technology equipment, but now it enlarged to all the electronic and electrical equipments. And this document was signed by 8 ministries. I list all the ministries here. So MIT Ministry of Industry and Information Technology is the main drafter of this document. And then it has been approved by other departments like NDRC, Ministry of Science and Technology, MOFCOM, Ministry of Finance and Commercial, and Ministry of Environmental Protection, Ministry of Finance, and General Administration of Customs, and AQSIQ. Why I list all these 8 ministries here? Because in the future you will see there are some problem of coordination for the market surveillance and also the different understandings of China RoHS. When you implemented the China RoHS, especially when the manufacturers implemented China RoHS 2, you have to be sort of supervised by not only one ministries, but different ministries. For example, even now, today, it is still not very confirmed whether the market surveillance should be done by MIT or by AQSIQ, or who will do the certification or conformity assessment. Anyway, this is also the China special situation. And when you, as a manufacturer, meet some problem in China, you have to keep this in mind. That is many different ministries or organizations involved in one technical regulation. There is no unified organization who is in charge of such technical regulations. So the superior laws for China Rules 2, there are three main laws. First is the Cleaner Production Promotion Law of PRC. Second is Law of People's Republic of China on Prevention and Control of Environmental Pollution Caused by Solid Waste. And third is Regulation on the Administration of Recovery and Disposal of Waste Electrical and Electronic Products. So basically, China Rules 2 was drafted based on these three laws. The laws is higher above in some, like in the cloud. For the manufacturers, you still can have a look of these laws so you can understand why China Rules implemented in China, and you can see why China Rules is this and that. And now this is the principal contents of China Rules 2. First, the name of the legislation has changed. So the black one here is the China Rules 1's name. So basically you can see that it is pollution from electronic information products. And then the second is the measurement for the administration, blah, blah. It is China Rules, so it is for electrical and electronic products. And then second, the application scope of products. We can see that China Rules 1 is only electronic information products, while China Rules 2, it is more wide, it is a wider scope, covers electrical and electronics products. So, but both of the product scopes covers related materials, components, parts, assembly, and accessories, and so on. So this is the product scope. The third is category. So category, we make a category of a product that have met the requirements for restricted use of hazard substances in electrical and electronic products. Anyway, this is we just simply call that category. So whenever in the future, in the next half an hour, I talk about category, this is the category we are talking about. That's selected products in the category need to fulfill the requirements, need to fulfill the standards, and also need to have certified by the China authorities. And the third one is a conformity assessment model. So in Europe, self-declaration is also regarded as one conformity assessment model, but in China, when we talk about conformity assessment model or certification model, basically it could be the, it's mainly the third-party certification. So basically, the general or popular observation or conclusion for this category of products is that once the category is confirmed, it will use certain conformity assessment model. Basically, I personally think that third-party certification could be very possible. So that's the future development So you can see that number 3 and number 4 now is under discussion. It is not finally confirmed, but anyway, it will be managed by the catalog of products. So it is a catalog management system or model. And then the product scope for China RoHS 2. China RoHS 1, we can see only covered electrical information products. So basically EIP. It falling into 10 product categories. And in China RoHS 2, if you see the Article 3, it says electrical and electronic equipment with voltage rating less than 1,500 volt DC and less than 1,000 volt AC. So, so it is the products with auxiliary products. So basically, I think the word auxiliary need to be confirmed. Sometimes we use accessories. So basically, the definition of such products is the equipment and the components, the accessories, and also the affiliated products. However, we can see the conclusion here that EEP definition is as the same as EU China RoHS 2. So basically, you can make some comparison or deduction by the European EU China RoHS 2. And the third line says China RoHS 2 excluded EEP and auxiliary products relevant to power generations, transmissions, and distributions. It means all the products used in the power or grid or power grid are not included in China RoHS. The reason is because in China, the China Power Generation and Distribution Company is a national state company. They are very powerful and they don't want to join the China RoHS. So that's why in the MIT basically do not have the authority to manage the grid or the power grid or the power grid company. So that's why the power generation, transmission, and distribution products are not covered by the China RoHS 2. And here's some other excluded products. I think it's a bit similar with EU China with EU RoHS 2. Number 1 is already because number 1 has already been shown on the first slides, because I think the products or the equipments used in power generation, transmissions, and distributions are a very big category. That's why I just listed here. But in this excluded product list, we can see the first is the electrical energy production, transmission, distribution, for example, in power plant, in power transmission and distribution plant, and also the system. And second is electronic or electrical equipment for military use. I think there's no argument, no doubt at all for this. And also the electrical and electronic equipment for special environment or extreme environment, for example, for very low temperature or very extra high temperature. Anyway, this is a very special and very narrow area. And then the fourth one is products for exporting outside China. So basically, if in China you produce something and export to like India or some other country, you don't have to fulfill China RoHS 2 requirements. 5 is temporarily important electrical and electronic equipment. For example, you temporarily imported their products in China, equipment in China, and then you assemble it and then export it export it outside China. If you can prove that, you don't have to do the China rules. Or basically you imported some electrical and electronics equipment for the replacement or for the repair or maintenance. It's not for sale. You don't need to do the China rules too. And the sixth one is for the research and R&D and testing purpose. It's not very big. It's not no need to argue. And also the samples and display products for exhibitions, but not for sale. So basically, the next page see the scope. The scope, the product scope is basically says that you have to have your products in the market. So it's for sale. If it's not for sale, it's for other purpose. You can see that you don't need to do the China rules too. So that's some analysis by myself of the product scope. So basically, some EU unregulated products. So for example, EU Rules 2 excluded products or exemption products may be covered by China rules too. For example, large-scale industrial tools, large-scale fixed installations. If you check EU Rules 2, it is basically excluded from the rules directives, and also some monitoring and control instruments, some lamps, and some active implementable medical devices, and photovoltaic panels. You have to check the China rules rule carefully to see whether they basically the list of these products should be covered by China rules too. Because nowadays China rules to, for example, China rules to cover medical devices. There's no exclusion for the active and implementable medical devices, and also for the European rules exemption list. There are some lamps. Anyway, in China we don't have the exemption yet, and China rules 2 covers a big, wider product scope compared to EU rules 2. However, there's still some EU rules covered products maybe not covered by China rules 2. For example, as I mentioned, the EEP and accessory products relevant to power generations, transmissions, and distributions. I'm not an expert for European rules too, but basically these products are not covered for China rules too. It is for sure. So if you produce some, for example, transformers, and you can prove that your product is similarly used for the power generations or the distributions, you don't have to do China rules too. That's why there's a lot of arguments for the low voltage products. For example, some cupboard installed in the buildings, whether it belongs to the distribution systems or whether it is just for the customer use, for the consumers use. There's a lot of discussion of the argument even in China. So basically, the conclusion is not confirmed yet. There's still some blanket or the gray area, but basically you have to prove or persuade the authorities that your products are not are only for the power generation and distribution. And this is the applicable the countries or the regions that use China rules too. So basically, we can see that the keyword is Chinese mainland market, except Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. So this is it is basically the products placed on the Chinese mainland market. So the red mark placed on the market is a keyword. So, and then second is a
Unmuted.
And this is the MCV values. So the maximum concentration values are the same in the homogeneous materials for the equipment should be the should be as same as European rows. So you can see the lead, mercury, or CR, CD. Basically, they're the same. So I don't talk too much more about that. And the reference to standards is GBT 26572 for 2011. And you can I think if you want to do the China rows, or if you want to enter Chinese market, it's better to have a look of this English version of this standard. And China Rows 2 implementations. The phase 1 is in the previous time I used phase 2 because before July 1st or after July 1st. But now it's November already, so we just go directly to after July 1st, 2016. And no catalog is published yet. So this is a phase 1. So there's no catalog yet. So there's no restrictions yet. So basically, it means products produced after July 1st, 2016, you need to do the self-declaration and also disclosure process, and also you have to fulfill the marking requirements. And however, if you can prove your products were produced before July 1st, 2016, you have to see that if you are newly covered by China Rules 2, you don't need to do any China Rules 2, no need to do the self-declaration or disclosure processes or marking, because your products were produced, were manufactured before July 1st, 2016, and your products are not covered by China Rules 1. And but if your product is information technology products, for example, computers or telephones, the 10 categories covered by China Rules 1, you still have to do the self-declaration and also make the corresponding marking requirements. And this is nowadays, this is also the current situation. And I think with time goes by, all the products are produced after July 1st, 2016. I think it's better you do the self-declaration processes, and also you make the corresponding marking or labeling actions for your products if your products into enter China market. And in phase 2, once the catalog was published, now we don't know yet. But however, if your product is covered by such catalog, it basically means that the products cover the catalog must fulfill the MCV values. You must fulfill that less than the value listed here if your products are covered by the category or selected inside the category. And also you have to use the different classifications, and you have to show the restricted use of times, and you have to also fulfill the conformity assessment systems. Although the certification models not known yet, but I think it's better to observe closely of the category products to see that whether your products is in danger of doing some replacement or get the alarm before it really happens. And the marking requirements, first, that's the standards. I know that the standards name is the SGT. I know in China, not only national standards are very, very important, like GB standards. Sometimes the ministry level standards, for example, this one, SGT 11364 2014, it is also very strong, and it is sort of compulsory for China rules too. So first, you can check the standards, and then the main contents of the standard is that all EEP, electrical electronic products, must be labeled. The products must be labeled. So the accessories or the components, whether it is need to be labeled or not, basically the authority will see that whether that component can be placed on the market and be bought by the customer or the consumers. So if, for example, the mouse, it can be regarded as an accessory product for a computer. However, it can also be bought by the single or individual customer. So the mouse, the computer mouse, also needs the label if it independently put on the market or be sold to the consumers. So the recommended color is green and also orange. And also the label, the label for the products can be on the products or on the package. Why on the package? Because in China rules 2, there is that if the product is too small or the materials for your product is not suitable, you can put such label on the packaging or on the package. So basically, I guess your products produced in Europe or your products produced in somewhere else, but it is globally supplied to different countries. So as far as I know, all the multinational manufacturers, they tend to put their label on the package because you don't know whether your products will be bought or ordered by US or by EU or by some other country. So this label is only used in China. So only if you are very sure it is in China, you can put it on your product. So basically, I just want to confirm that the label can be on the product itself or on the package. And also the auxiliary products or the accessory products do not on the market. That means you cannot buy directly from the market. Do not need to label, but make the declaration of conformity. And even your product is labeled, you still need to do the declaration of conformity. But if you are in the green environmentally friendly symbol, it means that all your materials of EEP contain less than MCV. You can use this green line, and you don't need to do the declaration of conformity. However, if your products are not environmentally friendly enough, which means that your hazardous substances more than the maximum concentration value, you should go to next page. It means that you have to, or you recommended to use orange symbol, and you have to label the environmental protection use period, EPUP. So it means that you can use the label like this on this page with green, with orange color. And also the 5 means 5 years of period of time for the protection use period or the environmental protection used period, and 10 years or 15 years or 20 years or 25 years or 50 years. So the period of time is during which the those substances will not leak or mutate. And also the EPUP is theoretically defined by manufacturers by themselves, and currently there's no need from the government approval. Why this? Because for China Rules 1, there is a recommendation from the government which is fulfilled in standards. Is that, for example, for telephone, the environmental protection used period should be like 10 years or 15 years. But now, because China Rules 2 is recently published and implemented, and there's no confirmed or industry accepted years or the time for the environmental protection use period. So basically, I think this is your manufacturer's responsibility, or your manufacturer's decision to decide how many years you want to mark. So that's the, but I guess in next 2 or 3 years there could be a recommendation from the government or from the industry associations to see that, for example, one company marked 5 years, but the other marked 50 years. So it's really not very fair, or it's not very harmonized system yet. And this is a declaration of the conformity. For example, this is how the English form looks like. But you have to see that this DOC must be in Chinese language. So this is also from the standards of here. So this is a label from the standards. And also this is a form. This is a standard. This is a form in Chinese. I know you don't know Chinese, but this is how the Chinese requirements for the China Rules Declaration. This is the real form, and this is the translation. So basically, if you say that hazardous list 100 used, if your MCV is above the limited requirements, you make this label, and then you make a circle label if your value is under the limited requirements. And now that's the basic introduction of China Rules 2, and now I'm talking about the key takeaways for frequently answered question for China Rules 2. So basically, since its publication, China Rules 2 has faced many questions and misunderstandings. That's why the MIT published frequently asked questions for China Rules 2. And 56 questions were answered by that. And I think SESEC project has already distributed the translation of this FAQ. So my conclusion is nowadays on 2 official documents, and only these 2 official documents should be referenced by the manufacturers. One is China Rules Americans itself. The other one is frequently asked questions and answers on this China Rules 2. So key takeaways for the FAQ. Question 2, 3, 10, 11, and 12, and 15.3 is the product scope. So basically, confirm is the packaging materials is not in the product scope anymore. And also for question 10 and 11 is about auxiliary products and auxiliary products for power generations. So basically, the conclusion is it is not in the scope. And question 14 and question 19 is for the electrical transportation machineries and tools. So basically, my understanding, or currently we ask MIT, so basically e-bicycles, e-cars, or electrical products inside the cars do not need to do China Rules 2. And then the how to define the environmental protection used period, so the manufacturers defines and the standards, and also the new, as I said, the newly covered products, the government's recommendation will be published, and some company defines as 25 years. It's just some information for your reference. Question 23 says overseas company sells their products to its Chinese subsidiaries regarded as placed on the market, so it need to do China Rules 2. Question 27 and 31 is the responsibilities of the suppliers. So the suppliers need to help the manufacturers or the assemblers for the declaration and also their technical information. And also the question 33 is non-electrical auxiliary products and whole products. So basically you can check that. So basically the key understanding is indispensable. So if your, for example, your plastic form of your plastic manual or the plastic platform cannot be unattached or cannot be separated by your electrical equipment, you also need to do the China Rules 2 or power in your whole products. And the question 33 is electrical auxiliary products and whole products. So basically the electrical auxiliary products need to do the declaration of conformity. And question 33 and 44 is marking and labeling. So basically only marking and disclosure table are only necessary for sales to end customers of the end product. So basically it's finished goods. So if you see that, for example, my products is components and my products is used for the assembly, you don't need to do the labeling, but your disclosure table need to show to your manufacturers, to your customers. And also the products of producers of EEPs in the supply chains, for example, the sub-assemblies, models, ODM, OEM, and the companies manufacturers do not need to mark their products, but they must provide relevant information to the customer. Also, they need to do the declaration of conformity. To be honest, even question 36 to 44 explained a lot of who need to do this and who need to do that. You still need to read very carefully about whether your products need to do the China rules labeling, marking, or declaration. So basically, my recommendation is if your products can be bought by individual consumers, or if your product is placed on the market, and also you are covered by China rules too, it's better to do the China rules too. Otherwise, you have to do a lot of proving or statement to see that why you don't need to do China rules too, because you are components, because you just supply to your manufacturers, because you are ODM, because you are OEM. Anyway, there are many different cases where you can get the assumption of China rules too, but you need to check carefully. And then third is the color of the label. So basically, the standards recommend green and orange. But basically, if you do not use that color, it's also fine. For example, gray. But I do not recommend you change orange to green, which will make the authorities not happy. And also question 56 is the manufacturers of the product. So basically, the finished goods or the manufacturers of the end products should bear the responsibilities if there's non-compliance to the regulation. So if you are suppliers, if you are making the components, you don't bear the responsibility. And the question for 48 to 51 is about the catalog. So basically, the Chinese, the recent, the very new information is the China Rules 2 experts group. We will have next meeting in next week discussing the catalog products. And also, I think third-party certification is expected because the drafter, the main drafter from MIT is also a testing labs. But I still think that we from the European side, the manufacturers can still do a lot of lobby and fighting work to reduce the third-party certification. And then there's frequently asked question, and then the standards. So here I list all the standards here. And if you want to get the English version, we can try to help you to get this. But you have to see that some of the label or the declaration need to be in Chinese language. So you can use the bilingual form, Chinese and English, to do the declaration of conformity. And IEC 62321, you don't have to by the Chinese standards because it's identically adopted. But for the other three standards, I think if you want to enter to China market, you still need to check these three standards. And the future developments and observations. First, there are still some argument from China Electrical Equipment Industry Association. They said this and that products are for the power generation and distribution, but it is not confirmed by the authority yet. Sorry, I made a wrong spelling. Current customs. I mean from the customs, not customer. So customs checking and market surveillance situation in China Rules 2. So far, we did not receive any cases reported of the market surveillance. I guess because the China Rules just implemented very recently, and also the different departments do not fully understand which products need to do China Rules 2 and which are not. So there's still some gray areas. So the market surveillance is not very strict, very strong yet. And third, the lobby activities from industry for the catalog product. I think SESEC platform and also some other industry associations in China should do some lobby work in case many products be covered by the catalogs of management. And also we need to do some lobby activities for conformity assessment model because as a manufacturers, we don't like the third-party certification. So that's all from my side. If there are some questions, now it's time to make your questions by typing because we have more than 88 now participants and we can't hear you. So it's better you type your questions on the webinar system. And this is also my contact details. And thank you. And now we can have our Q&A session now. Okay, it seems there are many questions already. There's one question. I just copy this question to our chatting system. Could you please clarify if products which contain hazard substance above the threshold value and are or will be listed in the category can be sold in the future or have to fulfill the value? Only green label allowed? My basic answer is if your products are listed in the catalog, only green label are allowed. That's the meaning of why they make the categories. So basically answer is only green label will be allowed in the future. And the second question is, can we get the presentation? Yes, sure, no problem. We will send you the presentation after this webinar. Maybe tomorrow my assistant will distribute the presentation to 100 registers or participants. Are there some, here's another question, I just copy here, is that, I don't know whether everybody can see that, but I still do the double work. Are there some guidelines existing how to group parts assemblies within a finished products on its label? What do you mean by how to group parts assemblies within a finished product on its label? I guess, can you make your question more clear? If I understand correct, it means that anyway, I just answer based on my understanding. So basically, if your products or your parts combine together, the end products or the finished goods just need one label. The other parts or components or accessory products do not need label. Am I right or clear with all the questions? So basically, only finished goods need to be labeled. our another question is from sorry, it was you mentioned that electronics in expected. Sorry, another question. You mentioned that electronics in cars are expected to be excluded. Would that extend to rolling stock? Yes. Yes. So basically, it says if your product is installed inside the car or in the train, you don't need to do the channels too. But if, for example, the displayer or the video system can be bought by the consumer themselves, and then they bought that and they install that to the car, or they install that to the rolling stock. So it means that your products have already placed on the market. It also needs the channels. So basically, if the products will be installed in the car, inside the car, or in the rolling stocks, or in the train systems, no channels is needed. I think that's the question. And also, another question is in Chinese: how to fulfill how to make sure German company suppliers fulfill China rules. I think the manufacturers, you have to contract or have some technical or have some technical information from your suppliers in Germany to see, for example, you have to fulfill, you have to do the declaration, you have to tell me that based on what kind of method you test your restricted or hazardous substances. And if I install or I assemble your components or your parts, how can I calculate as a whole for my system for the channels too? So basically, I think you have to ask the German suppliers to offer the information or the declaration of conformity of the hazardous or restricted information. And other questions? Martin asked, could you clarify? Yes. Martin asked again whether, could you please clarify if products contain above the value? Okay. Again, I confirm here, if the catalog is published and your products are covered by the catalog, it means that your products cannot contain hazardous substances above the MCV value. It means that only green label are allowed to enter Chinese market. That's why I answer that yes, yes. Only green label are allowed in Chinese market. In that case. No, sorry, the wrong answer. Any other questions? We still have time. Sorry for our presentation. Sorry, I put the wrong answer here. You mentioned that will there be a transformation phase when category will be published so that manufacturer can adapt? Yes, there will there be the questions here. Will there be a transition, transmission or transition period yes, there will be a transition period when the catalog will be published. For the manufacturers, yes. Will the slide be distributed following the webinar? Yes, I will ask my assistant whether she will spend another hour after 6 p.m. In China. So, okay, we will try our best. It is not a promising. We will try our best to do so. Maybe it's easy. We just found the list of all your participants and distribute that. Which third-party body is supposed to carry out conformity assessment when applicable? So the question is, I copy to everybody. Which third-party body is supposed to carry out conformity assessment when applicable? I guess CESI and some labs under AQSIQ. When is the publication of the category to be expected? I'm not quite sure, to be honest. Not sure as it is, and I can say fighting because from the manufacturers we don't like to have many have the category being published early, but the testing the similar question, when do you expect the category the catalog of the products is under, again, is under it is under discussion. My observation is that not in this year. I know this is a very, when I don't know, because not in this year. That's my basic, yeah. That's my basic judgment. And here, will the third-party body labs need a bill of materials and data sheet of products, and will they an actual with a machine? That's very technical, detailed question. I think the third party will need the materials. To be honest, at this moment, the third party certification is not quite sure. It is not quite sure. I just want myself to be a little bit conservative rather than, you know, open mouth too loud, too big, but it is not quite sure. I guess it will be clear after the catalog is published. Why? Because my feeling is different products may use different certification model. That's what the China authority has already promised. So flexible, they said flexible conformity assessment model. Am I finished all the questions? Any one question? Oh, here's one. Which manufacturers will have to do conformity assessment? Only manufacturers of products mentioned in the category, in the catalog. Basically, yes. Products do not in the catalog need to do the confirmation, the declaration, DOC only. It's no need to do the third party implementation or whatever. And now, what if an auxiliary component of an electrical equipment has electrical factor? Is it also covered? Example, filter in a vacuum cleaner. What if an auxiliary component of an electrical product has no electrical factor? Here, I can give you the answer by my slides question. Sorry. Question 33. Question 33 says, if the components do not, non-electrical equipment. I just copy here. Question 33 says that Question 33 says non-electrical auxiliary products and full products only if this, for example, the filter. So the answer is the filter, if it is in the vacuum cleaner and sell to the customer, it will need the rules, the declaration of conformity. But if it sells independently by itself, because there's no electrical equipment in relevant, independent sealed filter do not need China rules to label. What if auxiliary content of electrical products has no, it is a covered example filter? Yes, I have answered already this question. And what are EPP for distribution in buildings? Also the wiring products. This is quite sure, not quite sure. This is where the arguments are. Basically, from the manufacturers, they think that they are distribution systems and they are not for the consumer use. So basically, if you can prove your products are used only for the distribution systems in the building, you don't need to China rules. But if your products by any other means go to a place in the market and can be get accessed by the consumers independently, and you don't know whether they will be the distribution system or will they use for the other use, it will be covered by the China rules. So basically, this is the same proof then used in the distribution system only, and no other chance of being placed on the market. Otherwise, China rules 2 is applicable. What about making components? That's very tricky question. What about marking components? You don't need to mark. You don't need to mark the components. Only the ending products need the mark or label. What about the components for machine, like VAS or E-drives? What about the components for machine? Like for components for machine. The components for machine, you don't need to do the mark, no marks or labeling, but you need to do the DOC, Declaration of Conformity. Those new Those new products will adopt its reference standards. What is the question? The question is, those new paths will be adopted as reference standards. Those new paths will be adopted as reference standards. Sorry, can you repeat your question again? I'm sort of lost. Okay. Thank you. Sound is bad. Yeah. Sound is disappear. Sorry. Here's another question. Sorry, I didn't quite understand. In the future, will the DOC have to be done by a third party, and not a self-declaration? This is okay. Will the DOC have to be done? Yes. If the products in the future, if the products are not in the catalog, it still needs only DOC and marking and labeling. If they are in the category, in the catalog, other conformity, other unknown, we can see unknown because it's not known yet. Unknown conformity assessment model may apply. I think this is quite clear and quite okay. Sorry, but we are not able to hear you now because I'm not talking. Sorry, now I'm talking. Okay. Some of our Chinese customers are asking if our product comply to China rules. How do we formally respond to them when they ask us this? If the full details of China rules 2 are not fully published yet, for example, referenced, China rules 2, this is quite clear. Currently do not need to think about the catalog at all. Just do the first phase thing. Regarding label question, it is probably grouping in the table. Okay, that's the answer for the question. Okay. Recently received a advice file from China Electrical Technical Commission. According to their advice, some kind of UPS do not have to comply China rules. Could we fulfill the okay? UPS again. Prove that UPS is for power generation transmission or distribution. Otherwise, channel rules 2 applicable. Declaration is only required for product exceeding no. Yes. It says a question is a declaration is only required for product exceeding. Yes. Green label do not need to DOC. Please, could you confirm? Another question, could you please confirm? Could you please confirm a third-party approval mandatory for no, that's currently no third-party approval needed. DOC for your product. Please, could you confirm, are we able to self-declare conformity or is a third-party approval mandatory for same question currently? Another question, please. For my understanding, components like fans, ventilators, which can be put on the market separately, not just as part of machines, they do not need label, yes or no. If you ask me, put on the market separately, means placed on the market. Channel rules. I still have 20 more other questions. Guys, because we only have 1 hour and a half, and now it's because our system will be closed in 1 hour and a half. And we have already collected many questions. I just try to answer all the questions on site, but obviously I still have another 20 questions. So basically, we will collect them and then try to answer that in tomorrow and distribute to you by email. And if you don't mind, I will also summarize your questions all together, put all your questions together, and distribute all the participants. And again, I strongly recommend you to read carefully, understand the 2 documents, which is Channel Rules 2 and frequently answer questions, and also I will give you my recommendation, but still the official judgment and official confirmation are from that two documents. And again, there are many misunderstandings and gray areas. So I basically ask you if you want us to help you judge whether your product is on China rules or not. Please send to us, and we will get the official answer from MIT or from CESI for you. So it is not only me give you my advice or recommendation. We will help you to get official answers. So I guess that's all from my side for the webinar. And thank you for your participation and also your patience of listening or to all the contents. And we will first send you the presentations after this webinar. And then tomorrow we will summarize or wrap up all the questions and give you the proper or more detailed thinking answers, or some of the answers we may confirm from the Chinese authorities. And then lastly, tomorrow or Monday, we will send you the survey, and please give us your feedbacks about what you think about our webinar. Sorry, I can't answer all the questions on site, but have a good day. And me and my team will have a good evening in China. Thank you. Bye-bye.